our final segment for the night, once again, as always, is our Advice Corner segment. So I want to go ahead and once again take this time to thank everybody who has submitted emails to me at otakuassemble@gmail.com, sending us all your Advice Corner topics, Advice Corner questions, things of that nature. Thanks so much. And for those of you all, if you have yet to do so, please feel free. Take this time. If you're watching it live, you can go ahead and well, actually, no. If you're watching live, I would prefer that you actually, at least jot down. If you got an advice, problem, question, anything like that you feel either myself, Hikari, or Hugo in next week's live stream could help out with, please at least jot it down and remember to email me afterwards. But definitely, if you are watching after the fact, please feel free, pause the vid and take this time now to shoot me an email at otakuassemble@gmail.com, letting us know whatever your Advice Corner topic is. Your Advice Corner topic, question, whatever whatever it is. And if it is within reason for us to be able to actually give advice on, by all means, we'll go ahead and we'll do it. So, and Hugo, unfortunately, he won't be able to join us for this segment. He is experiencing technical difficulties, so much so that he can't even connect to his internet connection.
What?
Yeah, like his signal, he just completely lost the signal. So, all right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into this week's Advice Corner topic. And this week comes from Trent. Hello, Trent, and thanks once again for shooting us this email. So Trent writes, "Hey Larry, my name is Trent and I have been a fan of your channel and vids for around 1.5 years now. Thanks so much for that, Trent. Really appreciate all the support. I would appreciate it if you could discuss my question on your new OAW late night series. You made an Advice Corner video a few years back called 'So You Want to Be a Mangaka?' My situation is very similar to the person who asked that question. I am a college sophomore in Ohio that is a health science major, except I'm not a comic book writer or anything similar, but I am still a performing artist, a dancer and aspiring choreographer, specifically hip hop. I don't know how much dance knowledge you have, but I will say it is similar to the comic book industry in the fact that it is very hard to get started in. Relocating to LA and all that stuff. I was wondering if you could give me some of the same advice because I really love the advice you give and I feel that it could benefit me. Again, if you could take the time to answer this, it would be great. I would greatly appreciate it. Have a good one, Trent." All right. So pretty much what I'm taking from Trent's question, and I hope I'm getting this right, is I'm getting the sense that Trent, you're asking more along the lines of how do you balance both of these things, right? How do you balance school and how do you balance, wanting to, pursue this dream of like being a professional dancer or a professional choreographer? Now, my thing is this. I don't think those things are mutually exclusive, especially since you mentioned being a health science major. There are several ways in which knowing about the human body, knowing about physical fitness, kinesiology, all of those things can benefit a choreographer or a personal trainer or a coach or something like that. Which is why I don't think those things are both. I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. I think you can do both, and I think one does benefit the other. In many ways, it's a lot like how when I was in school, even though halfway through my college career, I decided that yes, I was going to go ahead and pursue writing professionally, and I started studying writing, but at the same time, I stayed an art major throughout the entirety of my college career, and it was because I understood that being a visual art student and being a comic book writer are not mutually exclusive, because comic books is still a sequential art form. It's still a visual art form. And yeah, even though I am primarily focused on the writing aspect of it, like I am still involved in the artistic process. When I did Totems, and Hugo will vouch for me on this one. So like when I did Totems back in 2012, right? Hugo served as, like, I was the writer, I was the creator and writer. Hugo served as the story editor, but I was still the artistic editor, meaning that I still approved every panel in that book that was drawn, every page layout, any and everything. Well, I mean, shit, I oversaw everything that happened with that book. But what I'm saying is, like, even to this day, as I'm, the graphic novel I'm working on now, like, I still intend to serve as an artistic editor on that, because I studied sequential art. Like, I know how paneling works. I know how, pacing and things of that nature. I know how layouts and all of that stuff works. And that's because I have an artistic background. Also, in many instances, like right here on YouTube, when I will do a review of a film or a TV show or something of that nature, it's like, yeah, sure, I can talk about it from a writing perspective because I've studied writing and I've studied screenwriting, but I will also talk about the visuals. Why? Because I've studied filmmaking to some degree, and I'm a visual artist, so I know how, I know what its effects are supposed to look like. I know how action scenes are supposed to be choreographed to some degree. Things like I can still chime in when I'm doing media critiques. So once again, another way, and if nothing else, like me and Hikari, we've talked about this several times before, but the whole fact that I can critique, that I actually have a formal education in the practice of critiquing, that all comes from my visual arts background. I didn't learn that from writing workshops in college. I didn't go to a seminar about, how do you review film? How do you become a film critic? I didn't go to a Roger Ebert talk or seminar or anything like that. No, like, what I know about the fundamentals of critiquing a work of art, it's all coming from my visual arts background. So in that same instance, like, you're a health science major. Now, I don't know what your concentration in that major is, but as I mentioned to you before, health science, physical science, not physical science, but health science, physical education, kinesiology, biology, all of these subtopics contribute a choreographer. Why? Because you have to know how the body works. If you're a choreographer and you're teaching a class of dancers, right? Or let's say you're the choreographer for like a music video or even a concert. Somebody falls out on stage, it does nothing but behoove you to know what's wrong with that person. To be able to go over there and be able to find out, when was the last time you ate? How much water have you had today? Okay, how much sugar have you had today? You're dehydrated. Like because once again, it's the same reason why so many coaches, they'll do one of two things when they are in school. They will either study some type of business management or they're going to study kinesiology, because you need to know one of two things. You need to know how to manage people, or you need to know how to manage the human body. So being a health science major, like, maybe it could just be a question of retooling your concentration, like retooling your focus within that. But the idea of you staying in school to get your degree and then using that knowledge to help you in that other, I think it's totally possible. It's totally possible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The one thing I'm having a little bit of trouble with is I'm a little unsure about whether or not the questioner believes that being in school in the health sciences field conflicts with his desire to be a choreographer. I'm not sure if he believes that those two things conflict or not, and I guess how I would answer the question depends on whether or not he believes that there's an actual conflict. But given what you just said, I think that it's pretty clear that there is not a conflict. But the way I interpreted the question is should he do one or the other? Or does he believe that one somehow takes away from the other? And in this case, I think that his higher priority is to become a choreographer or a dancer. And personally, if it was me, I would probably not get a degree in health sciences. Unless you just want to use that health science degree to be a fallback position. Like if you don't become a choreographer or you don't become a dancer, you could use the health science degree as a way to basically still make a living. But what I would say is if you want to be a choreographer or a dancer, then you should be in choreography or dance school. Like you really, I mean, I guess there are some ways in which having a background in health science could enhance your capacity as a dancer or a choreographer. But I think the best way to become a dancer or a choreographer is to go to school to be a dancer or a choreographer.
You know what? Yeah, not that you mentioned it, that might have been the crux because if memory serves, I think in that "So You Want to Be a Mangaka" video that I did way back when, I think that question was posed by somebody who they were studying one major in college and they wanted to know whether or not they should start studying art. But then again, with that being said, though, my advice remained the same. You should study the thing that benefits whatever it is you're trying to do. So yeah, if you have the option of studying dance in school, then that's what you should be studying.
Right.
So yeah, now that you bring that up, I think maybe that's what Trent was hinting at. Yeah.
And also another aspect of this is that dance and choreography is kind of not like other subjects. It's a performance art. Right? So you need to actually be doing it. You need to be performing. And that means that you probably should be involved in like maybe try to start a dance group or go in dance competitions but you should be actively involved in settings that are not academic because you need to practice the performance. It's like going to school to be a comedian. Like you can't really go to school to be a comedian. You actually have to go to comedy clubs and perform because being a comedian is being a stand-up comic is a performance art. So you have to perform it as a way of practicing and honing your skills. So if you want to be a dancer, then you gotta dance, right? I mean, you gotta do what you want to be. So in that sense, if you think there's a conflict between the two, then you should be pursuing dance as opposed to health sciences, or perhaps I don't know how your school is, but if you could, because some schools have I know Rutgers, for example. Rutgers is not just one school. Rutgers has multiple sub-schools. So like if you want to major in drama, you go to the drama school. You're still a part of Rutgers, but you're just in the Rutgers drama school. And yeah, you might take some classes in like your remedial classes in like math or English or science or whatever. Those are your general education requirements at Rutgers, the School of Arts and Sciences, but you would still be in like the drama school or the dance school or whatever. So if your school is set up like that, then you could probably be in like the dance school or the drama school and then maybe get a minor in health sciences, right? So like a minor in health sciences would still probably enhance your knowledge of dance in some pretty important ways. But I'm not sure if you need to major in health sciences. Again, like the major in health sciences seems to me to be only useful if you want to, make a living. If you can't make a living as a dancer, as a choreographer.
You know what though? Now that you say that, this brings me to I think like the main thing I think Trent needs to keep in mind, and probably something I don't know if he's thought about this. But he might want, if he hasn't, he might want to start thinking about this now. If you're trying to be a professional dancer or a professional choreographer, that needs to be your number one priority. You want to know why?
Right.
You can't do dance forever, but you can always go back to school and get a health science degree, but you won't, your body will not physically be able to allow you to dance forever. But you can always go back to school.
That's true too. Yeah, that's true too.
There is a biological ticking clock on what. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not to say that there aren't, you know, older people who do dance. But here's the thing: you're never going to be as fast, as strong, as agile, and as sturdy. Keep that in mind too, because people get injured when they dance. That's a very demanding task. You're never going to be as formidable as a dancer. It works just like athletics. This is your prime. You say you're a sophomore in college. This is your prime. You will never be the type of dancer physically in your 30s that you would have been in your 20s. And the same thing goes. You will never be the same type of performer in your 40s that you would have been in your 30s. So yeah, there actually is a level of urgency that if you haven't been acting upon yet, you might want to, because especially since like if you're a sophomore in college, so what, you're about 19, maybe 20. Yeah, now's the time where you need to be molding your body to be able to perform at the level in which you need it to, just like athletes do. It's the reason why, and I mean, granted, yeah, there are business reasons why. Let's not focus about the business reasons of why the NFL does not take prospects straight out of high school anymore. They have, like, you have to go through that collegiate system. You have to go through the NCAA, and you have to get molded as a professional football player before you can get drafted into the NFL. Unless you just pretty much get scouted and recruited from like the combine or something. But 9 times out of 10, that is your best bet. And the NBA is being more centered on this too, to where they really want these players to be able to train, develop, and compete at the collegiate level, because that whole process is preparing you to be able to do it at the professional level. That being said, if you are trying to do this professionally, now is the time to start doing it.
Right. And I would say if your school doesn't have something like dance, like a dance major or some kind of dance department, then you need to be going to a different school. Like you need to. That's another aspect of this is you need to be in a place that's catered to your needs. And if you're not dancing right now and you want to be a professional
Hang on, Hikari, we got some lag.
That's a significant problem. Be at a place where
there's some lag. I'm getting some lag from you. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying.
Yeah, I'm getting that lag. I don't know where it's coming from.
Significant problem. You need to be at a place where you can dance if you want to be a professional dancer. So, and maybe that's not the school for you. The place where you are right now, maybe that's not the school for you.
Yeah, and I will even say this too. Keep this in mind though. Even if, if your school doesn't offer a dance program, but there is a school that does, and you can get in, transfer, go to that school, get into that program. But I will also say this too, because see, dance is a performing art where there are private institutions for it. There are separate institutions outside of the collegiate environment that will allow you to be able to practice dance. There are schools, there are studios. So let's say that you decide to stay at your school. Are you a member of one of those studios, one of those dance companies? Hell, maybe now you want to start, trying to find yourself an agent that will put you into one of those companies, or some type of manager or a coach. Do you have a coach? Dude. That's another thing too, dude. If you don't have a coach, you need to find a coach. That's probably the first thing you need to do is find a coach. And if you don't have a coach around you, you need to go where you can get a coach. And then you probably need to go wherever that coach is. But yeah, like you pretty much have to, number one, you have to make it a priority. And number two, you have to put yourself in an environment where you can work on that priority and do it effectively. You need the people and the resources around you in order to be able to actually pull off what it is you want to do. And if you don't have those resources where you are, you need to seek them out, because that's the only way you're gonna get them. Like if your school doesn't have a dance program and you're waiting for one of them to start one, good luck, because it might. Yeah. Let me tell you something, dude. It takes a long time to get a program running at a university. A very long time. I have buddies, like I was in college for 5.5 years. I have buddies that I met my freshman semester, my very first semester of college, who wanted to study film. There was rumors of a film program at UL. They didn't get to see it. They graduated beforehand. There's a film program now, though. You see what I mean? That's just because that's how long it takes for like that red tape and all of that administrative stuff to get done.
Right. And there's two more things I want to say. The first is it also depends whether you're at a college or a university too, because a university has resources that a college would not have, especially in this regard. So you also need to think about that, and you also need to think about this from a monetary aspect as well. Like now, and you're going to school, you're paying to get a health science degree that is not your major priority. So it's not like you're wasting money, but you're not using the money you have as effectively as you could be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, by no means am I, knocking the whole idea of, getting a degree to fall back on, or studying a field, studying in a field where it's a lot easier for you to be able to get a job, just because, the performing arts, it's a liberal art. It's something where the demand is not necessarily there. And because the demand is not necessarily there, there's only a finite number of positions and opportunities like that. And it's very competitive. Like, I get all of that, right? I get it. Here's the thing too, though. You're not going to have a shot in hell unless you make it a priority. That's the thing. Will Smith said it best. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A. You will spend a lot of time, money, and effort trying to secure your plan B, when all the while you are neglecting yourself, the time and the focus needed towards plan A. In one instance, you are, it's kind of like, you're trying to get a foot to stand on while you're cutting off the other toes from the other foot. 2 feet are always better to stand on than one. And building up one by sacrificing the other, you don't want to do that, especially when you don't need to. Once again, like I said, you can always go back in to get a degree, but you can't always go back to be a professional dancer or a choreographer. You just can't do it. Yeah, you just can't. So with that being said, do you have anything else to add, Hikari?
No, I think we covered it all.
Yeah. So that's pretty much going to wrap up my thoughts on it. So once again, Trent, I want to thank you for sending us the topic. I hope we were able to give you some advice that you could use, or if nothing else, at least bring up some things for you to think about. And I hope we were able to, you know, help you out with this one. And once again, for all of those watching, if you have, you know, any type of problem, issue, dilemma, topic, anything that you think that within reason that we might be able to help you out with, by all means, please send that to me in a personal email at otakuassemble@gmail.com. Once again, that is OTAKUASSEMBLE@gmail.com.